So why is Palantir trading in the red after reporting better than expected earnings? This is what everyone is asking right now, and I want to make sure that I share what we know so far. So first off, Palantir did report better than expected earnings. If we hop on over to Investing Pro, click on the earnings tab, you can quickly see that today when it announced, it beat expectation for its EPS, which is its earnings per share, by 17.9% based off of analyst expectations. Revenue was beat by 5.8%. Now, a lot of people are commenting, oh, Palantir absolutely destroyed earnings. Palantir? You mean the one trading at a 212x multiple, right? In comparison to its competitors, it's trading at an insane multiple. Palantir, this one, it killed it. The best example that I can give you is it's already priced in. The example that I wanted to share with you is, well, why isn't it celebrating a successful earnings? Because you are correct. The earnings that they did report is better than what was expected. And not just its earnings, its guidance also was great. Palantir Q1 2026 slides, US revenue tops 100% growth, Rule of 40 hits 145%. So it gets into the detail about how specific sectors within Palantir are growing. Palantir achieved a Rule of 40 score of 145% in Q1 of 2026, combining 85% revenue growth with 60% adjusted operating income. This metric, which measures the balance between growth and profitability, positions the company among elite performers in the technology sector. There is no question about it that Palantir is a strong performing stock. But I want to remind you, that is why it ran from $5 to $200 in such a short period of time. But it just beat earnings. But it's already priced in. Now, don't get me wrong. Palantir is one of those companies that if it does continue to beat earning expectations and market conditions begin to favor even more irrational valuations, Palantir is at one of the top of the list of those type of companies. But kind of like when you celebrate a professional athlete when they do something, that you're watching them do, let's say like a soccer player, right? Whatever the case might be. You're celebrating him because, yeah, he scored a goal. Yes, he scored a goal. At the end of the day, you have a specific standard and expectation for that professional athlete because they are projected to be performing at that level. Anything below that standard that they now kind of set for themselves of being elite is a disappointment. Makes sense? That might be the worst analogy or example I can give you, but I just want it to make sense on, yes, it was expected for them to destroy and kill earnings. Way better than what was expected. That is why it's trading at a 200 multiple. I think people look at that number and it's so hard for people to digest what that means. Some of the most valuable companies that are publicly traded trade at 30 to 40 times their earnings. This is 200 times their earnings. It's already priced in. It's not that this stock can't continue to run higher. It's that, well, it's already had its run. Now it needs to not just walk the walk, but continue to. And any disappointment of not meeting investors' expectation in any way would be the spark of a potential correction. This is the danger or the risk when it comes down to investing in overvalued companies within short periods of time. And I mean overvalued in the premium that you are choosing to pay for this business, because that's what it is. When you buy a stock, a share of Palantir, you are buying part of this business. This business generates revenue, but this business is trading at such a high premium. The example that we gave last time is that when we do enter uncertain times, companies like this need to make sure that they check all the boxes, because if markets begin to correct, these are the companies that pay the price because they were overvalued. 200 times their earnings is not a cheap stock. It's not a good deal. You would never hear that Warren Buffett would be investing in this type of company as a value play. Again, not necessarily his style, maybe a bad example, but the idea that I want to remind you is that when you're investing into companies like this, you're really just hoping And there's nothing wrong with it because it's paid off very well. Palantir is just one of many examples of companies that are, partaking in a speculative and or growing and emerging sector in the market that there is a lot of speculation and there is a lot of projection. But Palantir had its success last year. And now it really needs to continue to deliver just to even sustain these elevated levels. So the easiest way that we can explain this is that it is already priced in. Markets have already accepted that this is an elite company. And reporting anything below that standard would actually cause more harm than good, because then it wouldn't earn the right to trade at such a premium. I hope that makes sense. But I could see why Palantir or diehard investors might be a little disappointed based off of the reaction. But I want to remind you, you guys killed it all of last year and even kind of the year prior to that. It's been a very successful stock within a very short period of time. And right now it looks like it just might have to continue to deliver before it sees another leg up. And we'll see. If there is any uncertainty that begins to present itself, then we can't be surprised that if we break below that 120 support, we have a long way down to go. I would eventually love to own a piece of Palantir myself, but I can never justify it at these higher price levels. I just couldn't. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Remember, I love sharing my opinion, but not because I believe that you need to agree with me. We're all entitled to being either more speculative or more conservative. There's no right or wrong. It's just some people are willing to take greater risk, and sometimes it pays off. Look at that 25-year-old that turned $225 million into $5 to $6 billion in 12 months. Nothing wrong with wanting to place bets in areas that you really do see a future and value in. But for me, when it comes down to seeing what do we want to call it? Seeing the excitement that's already been factored in, now it seems like Palantir now just has to continue to deliver to sustain itself at these levels. And I hope that it does. And if so, then it would earn its ability and its right to continue to trend upward. If it doesn't, that's where disappointment presents itself and where markets will price that in and begin to correct. So again, wanted to shed light on Palantir is an absolute killer of a company. It has amazing growth, not just of what it's reporting, but also based off of its guidance for 2026 and 2027. But as of right now, unfortunately, it looks like it's in the short term priced in. Now, you might also be asking why Trump shared a meme of "too late, Jerome Powell is a disaster for America. Interest rates are too high." Why would he share a meme that looks like it was made by a 6-year-old? Well, because he's not 6, but he's 86. Nonetheless, anytime, we've talked about this before, anytime the 30-year treasury or the 10-year treasury, the yields begin to get closer or above 5%, Trump gets upset. Because remember, that's the rate that they need to borrow at. And no one wants to borrow at higher rates. So the reason that Trump is begging Jerome Powell or the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates is because he doesn't want to refinance at higher rates. Remember, yeah, it's very easy to say, let's just cut rates. But cutting rates is inflationary. And with inflation going up because of the Iran conflict, whatever it is that you want to call it, the military operation, because of that, oil prices are going up. That means inflation is going up. And you cannot cut interest rates with inflation going up. At least traditionally speaking, it's not typical. And what we are now seeing is that there is now a 42% chance of a rate hike by March of 2027. And $5 gas prices are not helping. But again, I wanted you to understand that correlation. Anytime you hear Trump complain like a baby on social media about cut interest rates, it's because bond yields are beginning to show signs of uncertainty. This, again, shows that there seems to be some form of greater risk of the U.S. paying back its debt. You can't be surprised when we're $39 trillion in debt and we have inflation going up, the labor market is weak. but the stock market is at all-time highs, there's a disconnect there. But again, the markets are ignoring it, and they'll most likely continue to try to ignore it, right? If we look at the NASDAQ market as of right now, we're pretty much at all-time highs. We'll see if we go higher for whatever reason it might be, maybe the weather, or if we actually begin to correct. I think that many of us can agree a correction is long overdue, and we'll see if it actually begins to present itself. Also, don't forget, if you guys want to use our little risk calculator, it's the second link in the description down below. And this will allow you to be able to plan out your next trade, understand your risk to reward ratio, your profit potential, and your loss potential all before you take the trade. And again, it's all available for free. Even if you're not part of LPP, I want you to be able to use this tool to plan out your next trades, just to be more intentional and more calculated, as that's our goal with LPP 3.0. Whenever it is that you want to watch me trade live, second link down below, there's a discount link that will pop up for you. And whenever you're ready, we'll be there to help you out. Appreciate you guys' time. Hope that we're in a thumbs up. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.